In February 1991, Malaysian Prime Minister Dr. Mahathir Mohamad unveiled his vision to turn Malaysia into a fully developed nation by 2020. The idea, which came to be known as Wawasan 2020 or Vision 2020, listed 9 strategic challenges the country had to overcome to reach the goal of a united, progressive and prosperous nation.
The 9 points under 2020 had helped the government to industrialize. When we started off in 1957, the GDP was not even worthy of mentioning in modern days, but now you have got around, let's say, $9,900 as per capita income.
It was refreshing to read such liberating words like a united Malaysian nation, common and shared destiny, and one Bangsa Malaysia in Wawasan 2020 and the 9 strategic challenges.
But today, almost 30 years after Dr. Mahathir first mooted the idea, Malaysia is still falling behind its 2020 vision quest.
This is not a complete failure. It's just we didn't make, and we fell about 5 years to make that developed status.
Why has Malaysia failed to achieve its much-touted 2020 vision? What will it take for this resource-rich nation to reach this lofty goal? '85, a historic moment for many Malaysians. It was the year when Dr. Mahathir Mohamad put Malaysia on the road to industrialization with the launch of Malaysia's first national car project, Proton. His idea was to pioneer Malaysia's industrial and automotive revolution, help raise the nation's engineering capabilities and boost its growth. 29-year-old leather bag maker Mohamad Sholehin Mohamad Zaini and his father are proud owners of Proton cars. Owning a national car was a dream come true for them. In fact, his father bought the first generation of Proton cars, known as Proton Saga, which was manufactured based on a joint venture between Heavy Industries Corporation of Malaysia Berhad, or HICOM, and Mitsubishi. Sholehin still remembers watching the replay of the historic announcement on television when the Malaysian first national car was revealed to the public.
Kita pun berasa bangga sebab ini adalah first kereta nasional kita. Jadi waktu saya tak sempat rasa Proton Saga, tetapi saya dapat yang second generation lah, Proton Wira. Waktu tu pun saya masih bersekolah lagi. Cuma perasaan bangga tu bila saya tahu ayah saya beli kereta tu dan dibawa balik, dan setiap pagi dia hantar saya ke sekolah dengan kereta tu, memang perasaan bangga tu orang cakap memang rasa dia punyalah, sebab kita bukan bangga sebab kita dapat naik kereta, tak, sebab kita rasa bangga sebab ini kereta Malaysia.
The launch of Proton was seen as a historic moment for many Malaysians. It was a turning point in the country's transformation from an agriculture-based economy into a modern, industrialized nation. After Proton, Dr. Mahathir became increasingly associated with many other mega projects. Among them, the North-South Highway, the Kuala Lumpur International Airport, Petronas Twin Towers, Putrajaya, and the multimedia super corridor projects. These were seen as part of the nation's efforts to propel Malaysia into the industrial age, transform the physical infrastructure of the country, and provide a catalyst for rapid growth. All these projects were also sparked by Dr. Mahathir's vision to turn Malaysia into a developed nation by 2020, or better known as Vision 2020.
It was kind of telling that during that period, growth seems to be limitless. And it was generally a time where people felt rising prosperity, jobs were plentiful, incomes were rising, etc. So it was a feel-good era of the past.
Dr. Rais Yatim had served as a minister under Dr. Mahathir in the late 80s, as well as 2 prime ministers after him. He feels that the vision was motivated by Dr. Mahathir's strong belief that Malaysia has what it takes to rise up to the challenge and achieve an equal standing with many other developed nations.
Well, as a thinking man, as a man who wrote Malay Dilemma, he wants to bring forward Malaysia onto a pedestal of developed nation. He had been to Europe, to America, to England, to Japan, to Korea, and more to Japan. So what he saw was Malaysia should be having at least a segment of what Japan has. A very sure-footed way of implanting local wisdom into practice.
Apart from achieving its economic objectives, other observers see the vision as a way to unite the disparate ethnic groups in the country, to rise above racial politics and work towards a common goal of bringing Malaysia into a new phase of development.
Generally, yes, economically, you can argue that the government has achieved some of its targets. The more sizable middle class now. We saw rapid urbanization in the late 90s, mid 90s to early 2000s. I think on the political front, we are not there yet. Or on the social front, it's still, you can argue it's still not achieved. It's one of its main objectives of creating a united Malaysian race.
70-year-old pensioner Gan Chi Kwan was a young civil servant in the Education Ministry when Vision 2020 was first introduced in February 1991. The Johor native, who is now living in Ipoh with his wife, says he was inspired by the vision and was very hopeful and confident about the nation's future at the time.
I was very excited indeed. After 20 years of living under the divisive new economic policy, it was refreshing to read such liberating words like a united Malaysian nation, common and shared destiny, and one Bangsa Malaysia in Wawasan 2020 and the 9 strategic challenges. Wawasan 2020 is a Malaysian dream, and in tandem with that, Malaysians are to become more open-minded and cultured and have positive values as citizens of an advanced nation. I was a relatively young man then, in 1991, and I thought it is a dream worth growing old for.
That vision had also inspired a generation of Malaysians. 31-year-old Amir Hadi Azmi is a freelance reporter from Alor, Kedah, which is also Dr. Mahathir's hometown. He remembers very clearly, as a student in Kedah, how he used to engage in school activities that revolved around the 2020 vision.
I think that's the first thing I remember going to school, because it was a big deal in school. I remember all the school assignments will be on wawasan 2020. Teachers would be like asking you to write an essay about life in Malaysia in the year 2020. Malaysia in the early 90s was so very different, and we were doing very well economically, and every few months there would be new achievement. First Malaysian on the Everest, first Malaysian circumventing the world, first Malaysian here, first Malaysian there. So it's almost the same that nothing is impossible, and Vision 2020 is definitely going to happen.
Back then,